Greetings, kings and queens, and welcome back to QueeningDaSalads with me, T, your host. And if you're new here, welcome to the Queendom. Guys, in today's recipe cooking video, because a lot of you seem to like the cooking videos, in today's recipe, we are making Marsala Di Pollo. This is an Italian classic dish in Italy, and well, really all over the world, particularly also in America. Chicken marsala. We're going to veganize this classic Italian dish. Mind you, this originally, the origin of this dish actually began in France. But let me go over all the ingredients. And here we have a little less than a quarter, or about a quarter teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. We have a variety of multicolored peppercorns that I crushed. I did all of this before just to explain a little bit, you know, do something a little bit different with the videos. We have lots of garlic. This is about 8 or 9 regular sized pieces of garlic that I chopped finely by hand. Back here is a half of a red onion. We have some parsley for garnish. And here is a mock chicken stock. And I used some hot water and about 3/4 of a teaspoon of this season that I found. Back here we have a thickening agent. It's just flour and water to thicken up the sauce at the last minute. And back here we have some Marsala wine. Here we have some already pre-sliced mushrooms that I had to freeze last minute. I did start the video, and I end up having to, you know, put them in the freezer. Usually we use fresh baby portobello mushrooms. You can use whatever mushrooms you want, but these are the most popular. And back here we have 2 blocks of tofu. Now there is a process to getting this like the texture of chicken. I prefer this version, you know, rather than a lot of people use gluten wheat flour. I want to try to avoid anything that is very hard on my digestion. So I found that this recipe, in my opinion, I created to share with you guys. You guys are going to hear my birds in the background. For those of you that do know that I have quite a few pets and birds, and so they make a lot of noise, and I'm sorry. Sometimes I take the background noise out and add music, especially when I'm down in this area making videos. But when I need to talk, I can't shut the birds up. So I'm sorry, but they just bring light to the video, I guess, because quite a few people find that funny. I do want to say this. These are, first of all, frozen solid. I chose a method that I feel that the texture that mocks the texture of chicken. What I did was I froze each one of these blocks, not completely frozen. Then you take it out of the freezer, you put it back in the freezer, and then you do it like 3 times. These are actually frozen solid. So we have to let these thaw completely out before we start the pressing process. This dish is going to be a lot of work, so there's going to be a lot of editing and cutting and so on. So stay tuned. And just to give you an idea of the texture, let me focus that, the texture that we are looking for. Okay, so we'll go to the next step. Okay, so the next step is to try to make these look like a piece of chicken cutlet. So I am going to cut off some of these ends. Of course, I'm going to have some extra tofu that I'll use for a different recipe. I want these to look like a piece of chicken cutlet as much as possible. Okay, well, it's pretty good. So I'm going to do these other 3 because we're going to have 4 pieces, and I'll come back and show you the next step. So here's the 4 mock chicken cutlets that we have. I have extra, the ends that I had trimmed off. I'm going to use this to maybe make like a scrambled egg. I'll come back and show you the rest of the process of how to form this into chicken cutlets so that we can make this beautiful dish flourish into its existence. Okay, so the next step is, first I have a bowl of cold water, however you pronounce it, and then I have some roll wrappers. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. We have 4, so we're going to do one at a time, of course. Dunk it in. Okay, till it gets for a few, maybe 10, 15 seconds, until it gets nice and soft. Okay, so I have the rice paper here. I have a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic that I'm actually going to season the rice paper with first. Then I'm going to take one of these cutlets. I'm going to put it on here, like so. And then I'm going to wrap it. So I'm going to wrap the rest, season them up, and we'll come back and start the dish. I ended up having to double wrap these just to secure them when they fry. I'm gonna let these sit for about 10 minutes. Okay, so the next step is to flour them. So the rice wrapper sheets can form a crisp along with the flour. I already seasoned this flour prior to the video. I used a little bit of nutritional yeast. I've used some vegan chickenless seasoning and some garlic powder. I'm going to flour the mock chicken cutlet. Take off as much flour as possible, and then we'll continue until we complete all 4. So we have them all breaded with flour. Now we're gonna fry them and continue with the process, the remainder of the dish. Now I put these mushrooms in here because I previously, had them frozen. So we want them to cook down a little bit before we add the stock in the Marsala wine. Okay, so we can add broth. Marsala wine. I'm gonna cook this for like maybe 5 minutes. Cook it down, and then we'll add the chicken. You want to make sure that the alcohol cooks out of the wine. So we're gonna bring this up to a little boil, not a raging boil, but just a little boil. And then we are going to turn it down and then add the chicken. Okay, let's check. I don't want the steam to touch my lens. Okay. Before we add the chicken, I forgot to mention we have to add the thickening agent. This is just flour and water. Let this thicken up a little bit. 3 minutes. Check the thickness. This is perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. You see? Look at that. Now is the good time to add the tofu chicken.